How's everyone doing today? Welcome to the webinar, How to Create a COVID-19 Communication Strategy for Clients and Prospects. Bit of a mouthful, but hopefully it's going to be a really interesting session. See a couple of you joining. Where you're dialing in from, put it in the chat. I think if there's a bit of housekeeping before we get started in just a minute. So you can see Andrew and Ellen are also on the session with me. My name is Matt Wilkinson. I'm the founder and CEO of Bizink. And if you've got any technical issues, which could happen, because I think a lot of people are using Zoom these days who probably weren't before, they will try and help you out. So you can use the chat as probably the best place to do that. But there's also the Q&A. Hi, Marina in Ottawa, Ontario. How are you doing? I'm in the South Island of New Zealand in a little mountain town called Wanaka, and it actually snowed quite a lot in the mountains anyway, so I'm looking forward to the ski season if we get open outside of lockdown. Cool. Well, I'm going to obviously go through what accountants and bookkeepers should be doing in terms of marketing during this unusual time, but I'm going to hand over first to Angela from A2x, and thank you for having me on the session today. Hand over to Angela, who's going to do a quick introduction, and then we'll get into the session today.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you on the call. I'm Angela Luisi and I'm part of the partner team at A2x. And I'm joined by Alan, who's also on the partner team there. And Alan also looks after our conferences and our online events too. So today we're going to be looking at how you can create a COVID-19 strategy for your clients, but also for your prospects. So we're so pleased to have Matt with us. Matt's with Bizink, and as he said, Matt's the founder and CEO, and they help hundreds of accountants and bookkeepers worldwide with their marketing and to connect with clients and connect with prospects. And look, they work with businesses of all sizes, from the small to the very large, so I know you're going to find it valuable. And we so appreciate Matt being online, because I know this is one of your busiest months you've ever had, Matt.
It is, yeah. We're lucky to be an online business, and I really feel for some businesses, a lot of tourism businesses where I live, who are just, some of them are gone already, but we're lucky enough that we were remote anyway, so we've had minimal or no operational disruption, and we've been very busy. So yeah, we've been very lucky, but it's an interesting time.
It is an interesting time. So we're stoked that you could join us. And I know we might have a few people on the call that are not sure what A2x is. So I just wanted to run through that quickly. A2x is an app, and it automates your accounting for e-commerce sellers. And what it does is take data from Amazon and Shopify and summarize it and posts it into your Xero or QuickBooks. And it's really a time saver. So A2x is saving people hundreds of hours each month with their accounting, because it's so automated. We've got hundreds of people using it around the world, and look, at really, they can be certain that their accounting is 100% correct. So that's a quick run through on A2x. And now I'm going to hand you back over to Matt, who can tell you a bit more about Bizink and what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome,
Cool.
Matt.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you, Angela, and thanks to A2x for having me on this session. So a little bit about myself. Well, you heard that, yeah, founder and CEO of Bizink. So we've been working with accountants and bookkeepers since 2012. And before that, I've been a marketer really since the late 1990s. And actually, my first online business was an e-commerce business in the UK. And so I've got a real soft spot for the industry that A2x is in, and the clients that you are working with. And as you can see, in my spare time, I like climbing up mountains and frozen waterfalls like this. So hence the funny picture. So today's session, what we're going to be covering is, first of all, is it okay to be doing marketing right now? That's something that we've been asked a fair bit over the last few weeks. So we're going to have a little chat about that. We're going to have a talk about what marketing messages should you be sending. What are the best channels to market on right now? Obviously, meeting people is kind of out the window for lots of you. How to be heard above the noise. So, there's obviously everybody is out there and trying to communicate at the moment. So we want to talk about how you can get heard above the noise. And I'm going to give you some examples because I think that's one of the most powerful things is to actually look at real examples of what firms are doing. And we're going to end that up with a Q&A. So what I'm going to do today, look, it's not going to be a super polished session. We're trying to be very reactive to what's happening. And that's what I'm going to be telling you as well, is that right now, perfect and polished on what's important. Marketing right now is about helping people. And, they're not interested in perfection. They just want help. And I really want to help you, and I really want you to help small business owners. And so what I'm going to talk to you about is, as Angela mentioned, we work with several hundred firms across the world. And the advice I'm going to give you is right from the trenches of what we're seeing is working well and what we're not seeing work well as well. So that's what I'm going to cover. So look, I know you're super busy. So let's get into the session right now. So I'm going to guess that you've done more communications with clients in the last 2 weeks than you've ever done before. I know we have, and I know from our clients, they're absolutely going nuts in terms of communicating with clients. Now, like I said, just a second ago, I think there's quite a few people who feel maybe a little bit weird about marketing right now. And that's why we called the session communication strategy, because I think, some are feeling maybe marketing is not the right time for that. But I would argue it's exactly the right time to be doing marketing. Now, maybe not marketing like overtly selling and that kind of thing, but marketing your help and advice. And, I honestly think for the first time, like accountants and bookkeepers are really getting marketing, because I've been doing this for like 10 years, working in this with your profession. And it's honestly really hard to get you guys to do marketing. But now you're going absolutely crazy. And that's awesome. I think it's really cool. I'm seeing firms doing more communication and marketing than they ever have. I'm really focusing on the fundamentals of marketing, which is talking to people's pain points. It's pretty obvious what they are right now. Regular communications and sending out useful content. And I think obviously that's because there's a pressing need to get in touch with clients right now. But if you've got a decent sized firm, you've got more than a handful of clients, you can't possibly call all of your clients in a week or even a month. So how do you reach them? It's through marketing. It's through things like email campaigns, through social media, that kind of thing. You have to use those mass methods of communication if you want to help all of your clients. So, and the answer is it's definitely okay to be doing marketing right now. And by doing it, you're actually helping people. And there's a 3-step strategy as we see it right now in terms of accountants and bookkeepers marketing. First step, reduce churn. 2, build a leads pipeline. And 3, sell when the time is right. So number 1, stop churn. Your business, just like ours, relies on long-term customers. So the first thing you've got to do is try and keep as many of your clients as possible. If we can add clients, we'll talk about that in a second, that's amazing. But if we can get out of this without losing clients, probably doing okay. So how do we do that? Well, I think it's showing that value beyond the numbers is the way I'd say it. You've really got to demonstrate your value to your clients. And like I said, you can't contact them all individually. So how do you do that? And we're going to be talking about how we do that later on. But I think that's the number 1 goal, is reducing churn. Number 2 is to build a leads pipeline. So if you're showing value to your clients, you're also going to be valuable to business owners as well. And when all of this ends, people will still need accountants and bookkeepers. So what I believe you should be doing, and we'll show you some of the tactics in a little bit, doing things like webinars, sending newsletters, building a social following. It's all about building a leads pipeline for when this is over. Because people will remember who was there for them and who wasn't afterwards. That is definitely going to happen. And the final part is selling when the time is right. So clearly you need to be cautious around selling right now. You don't want to, come across as crass and push stuff in people's faces. But having said that, Angela referenced that, we've had, March was our best month for sales ever at Bizink, and we're going to smash it in April because we're being valuable. We're not, we're certainly not being pushy in terms of what we sell, but we're being valuable. And I've heard that from some accounting firms as well. I've also heard some firms losing clients, so there's stuff to balance that out. But I've heard some firms doing a lot more work. So it isn't a time where we shouldn't be selling. We still need to be open for business. I think that's really important to keep the economy going. There's nothing wrong with selling right now. And there's still opportunity, right? That there'll be some businesses and some firms that go under during this. That's really sad, but there's also opportunity in that. Like if there was a 10% loss of clients, for example, that isn't going to be spread equally across all firms. Some firms are going to lose 100% of their clients, but some will gain them. That means those clients are there for you to win. So the way I see it, have you ever watched one of these survival shows where, they talk about there's like a plane crash and people survive, or in the jungle or something like that, or, people in the desert or something like this? Well, how do they survive? A couple of things that always come across. Number one is the ones who survive always have a plan. They create a plan. And then number two, they remain positive. So I think those things don't guarantee success, but the reverse, being negative and just not having a plan and being reactive, that pretty much locks in failure. So I think their strategy, keep it nice and simple. Everyone's going to, so much going on in your brain right now, is keep it nice and simple. Simplify everything down to what really matters. Now, I think what we've noticed over the last little while as well is what really matters in marketing has been revealed. So these are things that business owners could not care about right now. Your why, your brand. If you rank number one in Google, how many likes you have on Facebook. They just need help. So I'm not trying to pretend brands aren't important or any of that stuff, but I see a lot of firms putting loads of attention into these kind of secondary things, when really what a business owner wants is help from their accountant, from their bookkeeper. And I think that's kind of liberating, and that we don't have to worry about all this kind of fluff around marketing, is to just focus on the really important stuff. So in terms of messaging and content, and by the way, we're going to let you know about some free marketing content a little bit later, but I just wanted to talk about, what are the kind of, what kind of content, what kind of messages you should be sending, and then we'll have a look at the channels you should be sending them through. So the first question you need to be asking yourself is, are you adding value or are you adding to the noise? So what I mean by this is, like, do we need another webinar on how to work remotely? I'm going to suggest we don't. And are you even an expert on that? So I would be focusing your content on the stuff you're highly specialized in. We could do remote working content. Bizink's been a remote company for over 5 years. We've got remote staff all over the world. So we know that stuff. We're pretty good at it. But that's not what we do. We're 100% focused on helping accountants and bookkeepers with marketing. So that's why I'm doing webinars like this. So I would suggest what's going to help you win more business in the end is highly specialized content. And that's where doing things about e-commerce, online selling, the accounting issues and things around that is going to be way more effective than generic content. Keep it really specialized. The next thing in terms of your marketing is be more regular than you ever have in terms of your marketing. So going to run a quick poll now, if you wouldn't mind flicking that up, Ellen, which is how often have you been contacting your clients in the last fortnight? Be really interested to know that. So if you don't mind voting in that, I'd be really keen to know. Answers are anonymous if you so you can just let me know how many times have you been contacting your clients. So I'll just let that run for a second, and then when that's finished, please just share the results. So a bit of background to this. One of our clients in the US was talking to her, and she's like, things are changing hourly almost, you know. It's happening that quickly. Certainly day to day, week to week, things change very much, both the mood and tone in different countries, and the actual things like legislation, like government stimulus packages.
Yeah, so the majority, oh sorry, Matt, the majority of people are saying weekly, but there are a few that are saying they've still not contacted all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thanks for that. And yeah, for me, you've really got to make that effort to get in touch with everybody. I would be trying to get your communications at least weekly. Could be I'd almost be going to daily with social updates, and I'm going to show you some really good examples of that later, which I think will show you that you don't have to be really polished with this. You can get this happening quite quickly, and we're also going to give you some free content that you can use as well. Now, I've put this, we ran a similar webinar to this 3 weeks ago, and like I said, things are changing. We've actually changed here that what my advice would be. So this last part, rescue versus recovery. 3 weeks ago, a lot of it was just about rescue survival stuff. It's like, how can we get the government grants to support wages and things like that. Now, I mean, unfortunately, some businesses are gone, but some businesses kind of can see where they're going, that they're going to get through this, maybe, reduced or whatever, but there's certainly a tone with quite a lot of our clients in terms of, let's look at the recovery as well. We can't just focus on rescue the whole time. We've got to look to the future and recovery. So I think a mix of, that government stimulus content is really popular. Anything to do with whatever the government in your country is doing to help business owners, that's an immediate and pressing need. But also, what can you do to help a business owner get a plan in place to get out of this if their business is going to survive. So next thing I would have a look at is kind of related to this is your marketing rhythm. So when it comes to marketing, we normally advise firms to plan in detail for about 90 days. But right now I'd be planning like at a weekly level. So something like I've got here on screen. We're doing this ourselves. We're looking at a weekly plan, and we're literally revising daily what's happening. So I would just have like a real simple grid like this. And, I'm a big fan of doing things in a simple way. Do this in Excel, spreadsheets. You guys are in there all the time. There's nothing wrong with doing a marketing plan in a spreadsheet. Get a table in there like this and just start putting the actions that you're going to do. So I've just put some example things that you might do. I'm not suggesting all of these things, and certainly the last one on a Friday is just a bit of a joke, but put the things that you're going to do in there and use strike through when you finish them. So you can see the ones that I've put on Monday, there's a strike through there to show they're done. I think that's quite motivating, right? We all talk about a to-do list. Well, also a done list is quite motivating, so we can see all of the things that we're doing. So continuing with the messaging and content, I would say short and simple is really important with most of the content you're going to be putting out right now. everyone's attention span is challenged at the moment. So it's important to get to the point. Long form content, it always has a place. But right now, I think summary content, digest content, highlights, that kind of thing work really well. So, you know, a summary of the stimulus package in your country, you know, with bullet points, things like that can work really well. In terms of tone, so I think serious tone is important, but positive, you know, not trying to be too catastrophizing and negative with everything, because there's obviously a lot of negative things happening. It's important to be serious but positive. I think you've got to be careful with humor. So I did a webinar for CPA Academy in the US a few weeks ago and was talking to them. They obviously run a lot of webinars, and you know, they're talking about humor. And you know, I've got a pretty black sense of humor, but he was saying, yeah, look, like 50-50 split of people who are either reacting with kind of gallows humor to this stuff, or they just don't want to hear any jokes at all. You know, they just do not want to hear humor right now. So I think you always got to be really careful with humor. Final part, I'd say authentic and honest. So I said it before, I'll say it again, polished marketing does not matter right now. And this really reinforces something that I've been saying for a long time, but your brand isn't your logo or some catchphrases that a marketing came up with. You know, the real thing that makes up your brand is how you act, and how you act right now, how you interact with your customers. You know, they decide what your brand is because, you know, that's who you're serving. So I think that's the most important thing of all of this, is being authentic and being honest. And I think that's going to create the best connection that you're going to get. And one of our clients in New York, you know, she said, look, we'll come out of this, and one thing that clients will know is that I care, if nothing else. And she's definitely proved that. You know, she's shown she really cares about them with the messages and the support she's been giving them. So in terms of channels, this is a kind of a debate that, you know, a sort of question that we'll often talk about with firms is, are you going to go to your clients, or are you going to wait for them to come to you? So, you know, are you waiting for clients to call you? Or are you being proactive and trying to reach out to them? So that's, you know, that's why I think direct tactics like email generally beat other tactics like SEO for accounting firms, because, you know, you're going to your audience rather than waiting for them to come to you. So I'm going to run through some of these channels, and the first one will be email. And I do a lot of webinars about marketing for accountants. Anyone who's listened to them, I will always talk about email marketing. And people often come out and say, well, isn't email marketing really old-fashioned? Well, honestly, it's old-fashioned, or well, if you consider it that, you know, it's been around for a long time because it works. And why does it work? Well, first of all, every business owner has an email address. Every business owner has one, and most of them check their email several times a day. And the second thing that, third thing, is that people open emails from accountants. Now, I know this because at Bizink, we send tens of thousands of emails for accounting firms every month through our platform. And we can see the aggregate open rates and click rates of those emails. Now, we compared those to Mailchimp. So Mailchimp's best performing category, last time I looked, was hobbies. So they update this stuff all the time. It's always about the same. It was 27% open rate. So that's quite good, by the way, if you don't know much about email open rates. Well, emails sent through our platform typically range from like 35 to 40%. It goes up and down on different months. 35 to 40%. So, you know, sort of 12, 13% higher than than Mailchimp, which is the most popular email marketing app in the world. So it's much higher now. I'm not saying that to say Bizink emails are great. I'm saying that because people open emails from accountants. So it's a really great tactic to use. Next one is social media. So here's an example of the kind of content we're pushing out for clients, and this is our social here. The thing that I've been talking about here is that social media, right? 2 words, social and media, and I think people have focused way too much on the media part of social media. They've just seen it as a content channel to pump out content, but there's probably I've read some stats. Like there's more content produced every day than like the entire history of the world before like 1990 or something like that. And I think we'd all agree that there's content coming out of your ears, and most of it not very good. So I think the best use for social media is the social part, not the media part. Is how can you connect and network with people at scale through social. So this is from our client Facebook group, and that's been super active. Interested to know, has anyone got a Facebook group for clients? So we're going to run a quick poll just now in terms of asking you that question. Have you got a Facebook group for clients? If you want to bring that up, Alan. And we've found our client Facebook group to be incredibly useful during this time. Its membership has doubled, I'd say, pretty much during this time. I'm getting way more interaction through that. So if you could just let us know, have you got a Facebook group, or maybe
everyone said no so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to definitely have a look at, and particularly if you're working in a niche or industry with like e-commerce or online sellers, you could create a really focused group around that industry. We have a group for just marketing for accountants, and we have another one for marketing just for zero partners, both really active groups. So that's something maybe to have a look at. Now, face-to-face, well, virtually. So obviously, in a lot of countries, we can't actually meet our clients right now, but there is still the opportunity to do things through like Zoom webinars like this or Zoom meetings. And I've seen lots of firms trying webinars for the first time, and that's something that I think is a really great thing to continue because they work. You've come to a webinar today. Bizink has built its business. Our key marketing tactic has been webinars over the years. So I think that's something to have a look at, and really keep on looking at that as a way to get out in front of people. And I'm going to show you an example here of one of Bizink's clients. So she did a webinar for her clients who are creative businesses, and she asked them through her Facebook group. She asked them what were the issues they were facing, and people here who were like bands and stand-up comedians, that kind of thing. And they were like, well, we're obviously not working because these events are called off, and we've got a lot of time. We actually want to focus on our business. So she's doing a session for them, a webinar on how to sort out the business basics, sort out a business plan, that kind of thing. So is that something you could be doing as well, like running a session with people who've got downtime in their business to sort some of these things that they never get round to? I've got a friend who runs a solar panel installation business, and he's just chatting to him, and he was saying he's doing all these things like his business plan, sorting his HR processes. He's written and launched a new website. All these things he never got round to. So the one thing some business owners might have now is time. What could you be helping them with to fill that time? Now, the final channel that I've put in there is the phone, right? It's like, maybe the oldest tactic there. I've actually been calling quite a few people recently because, you know, Zoom has been struggling a little bit, and sometimes people, you know, just can't get in front of the computer. So I've actually been using the phone a little bit, and not going to really talk about phone too much, but I think the lesson in that general marketing lesson is that the medium doesn't matter. It's about getting in front of people with the right message. You know, some people don't care about the channel you're connecting them with, as long as, you know, you're making that authentic, genuine connection and really helping them. So, you know, how to be heard above the noise. We've touched on this a little bit. First of all, I think that, you know, clients need to know about the basics of government help. Since we ran this a similar session to this a few weeks ago, that's become abundantly clear. That's the most popular content, is people have found some of that government help hard to digest or understand, particularly in the US. I think that there's a lot of different things going on, a lot of moving pieces. And so they've been turning to accountants and bookkeepers to get help with that. So I think focusing on that kind of financial stuff is really good, and not focusing on things like, you know, I've seen accountants and bookkeepers honestly trying to do things like sessions on remote working or that kind of thing. And in my opinion, you'd be better saving your time to focus on the stuff you're really good at, and letting people like, say, Zoom or Slack, these remote working companies, they're putting out this content. Build up a list of trusted sources who are doing that kind of content, and then just share that with your clients. You don't have to do it. So, you know, what are you best at? Well, like numbers and finance focused stuff, that is going to be really important. The other way is being like hyper local. I think that can really help keep things focused. So, you know, macroeconomic stuff can be hard to understand for some business owners. But keeping it really local and talking about stories that are happening in your town, in your city, I think that can help get cut through when there's a lot of noise out there. And the final one that I've got here, industry focused, I think this is super relevant to you guys today. You obviously have got an interest in e-commerce and online selling. So I think creating specific accounting financial content around that industry, that can really help you get cut through. So some examples. Now, when I do webinars, and I do a lot of webinars, I'm often struggling to find good examples of accountants doing marketing. Not trying to bag you guys, but it's just a fact. And for this session, it's so easy to find good examples. So that's a massive well done to, you know, accountants and bookkeepers. You're really showing up when business owners need you. So I'm going to show you a few examples that I've seen that I think are pretty good. And first one is from a New Zealand firm, one of our clients, who's just sending this simple daily email. They're actually sending it a bit less now, but you can see the kind of dates there. When the stuff was really kicking off, they were out there sending an email pretty much every day. And what I think is good about this email, so the first one, you can see the titles like current times, update 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Not trying to be clever, not trying to be fancy, just a simple title. And what I really like about this, you look in the inbox, it's really easy to go back and reference the different emails. So if someone is looking at trying to remember, you know, what was that thing about this government grant that I can get, they can just go back to that email. Starts off with a bit of local flavor about the weather, but, you know, so it's kind of a nice informal tone, but then gets straight into the useful information about wage subsidies. So is this email going to win like a design award or, you know, copywriting or anything like that? It's definitely not, right? There's nothing special in one way about it, but what's great, it's super useful to his clients. He's making the effort to get this out there every day, so that's the win. Now, Second example is a guy called Jason Andrew, who I think is one of the best accountants at marketing that there is. He's very active on LinkedIn. He's got a big following there, and he works directly in the e-commerce kind of business owners, online sellers. It's pretty relevant to what I think a lot of you guys do. And yeah, I encourage you to follow him on LinkedIn, Jason Andrew, check out his stuff. But here's one thing that he did. So created a Google sheet about pay as you go in Australia. So how people pay tax through their payroll, and the benefits that people could get as a government stimulus package. And he created a spreadsheet that was so popular, it literally crashed Google Sheets. So I'm a big fan of creating simple tools and free apps like Google Sheets, because they look real. It's clearly like a useful, real tool rather than some kind of over-branded and over marketing kind of thing. So I think that's really cool. And again, look at these posts, right? Like there's nothing flashy. I mean, the one on the right, it's pretty nasty bit of clip art. It's not going to win any awards for design, but look at the amount of likes and comments that Jason's getting on these posts. It just works. Here's another example from a guy called Mark Telford. He's one of Bizink's clients in the UK. So I wanted to show you an example of a firm using online meeting or webinars. Telford's work with a lot of contractors and self-employed people. So what he did was teamed up with a local HR firm to talk about the kind of those kind of issues around HR. So here's a screenshot from the webinar. Again, nothing flashy, just great, useful content. So my question to you would be who could you partner with to do something similar? He partnered with an HR firm. Are there some partners you have? Are there some local professional services businesses you could get together with, do a session that would really help your clients during this time? And same firm, Telford's, this is a screenshot from their website. So these are some COVID-19 resources that we created for them at Bizink. And we've added these to over 200 of our clients, we're at 250 of our clients' websites since the last week in March. So I'd encourage you maybe to get some similar resources on your site. If you don't have the time to write them, we're going to share something with you in just a little bit where we'll give you that content and you can put that on your website. Now, I was going to invite Ellen back on. We're just going to have a chat briefly about a firm called Bookkeeping. I will restart the old video. How are you doing, Ellen?
Good. Hey, it's great so far. Thanks, Matt.
Cool. Well, yeah, there's some examples that I've given of Bizink's clients. Now, we thought it'd be really good to talk about a final example from an A2x client. And so this is a firm called Bookkeeping, and these guys have been doing some really awesome stuff in response to coronavirus. Hey, Ellen?
Yeah, for sure. I was really impressed with Bookscape. They're a top partner with A2x. Cindy Thomason is the founder, and she wrote Profit First for e-commerce sellers. And she kind of straight away, when this was, really starting to ramp up, kind of looked at, what does she know? What is she an expert in? She's an expert in cash flow forecasting. She's an expert in Profit First, and she's all about kind of, helping all of her clients, stay sustainable. And so straight away, she offered this uncertainty guide with just some kind of tips that she thought would be really helpful. And also she offered a Google Sheets kind of downloadable cash flow forecasting plan. She did webinars. She was just really onto it. And I think she really, got that line because she didn't kind of seem like she was trying to sell people or use this kind of viruses for profit, but actually just really hitting people's pain points. And I think I was really impressed with that. She partnered with us and we did a few things together. There's lots of things that she did, and you can see here that she kind of just made this handy little toolkit for her clients and prospects. She handed this out to everyone, which was really good and showed her expertise.
I think that's really cool. And like going back to the strategy that I outlined at the start, the kind of 3-part thing. Number one, you're stopping churn. You're getting out there straight away, offering some real value to clients.
Yeah.
Number two is building that pipeline. So you're sending it to prospects. Now they might not be ready to engage you for 3 months or 6 months. You can't change that, but you've got pipeline there that when they are looking to, either they need an accountant for the first time, or they're thinking, do you know what, my firm didn't show up during this, and here's somebody who really did.
Yeah, for sure.
What are they going to do? So I think that then the third part of the strategy, selling when it's the right time. Well, that right time might be now. We've done a lot of selling during this time without being pushy, and I know firms who have as well. So I think she's hit all those points with that strategy.
And she was saying to me that she gets a lot of people kind of writing in. They were saying, they all of a sudden need their books in order right now to go for those loans. And obviously A2x fetches historical data so they can backdate their books and get it done really quickly. So I think she did really well, partnering with us so she could deliver those financials that were going to be accurate. And it was really nice to see. And she's a great partner, and I recommend everyone check her out.
Awesome. Mate, I mean, is it bookskeep.com? Yeah. I think following people on so this is said with tongue in cheek, but there's a quote from Picasso, which is good artists borrow and great artists steal. And so I kind of like that when it comes to marketing, right? Like steal other people's ideas. It's not really stealing, right? Like there's no new ideas in the world, especially when it comes to marketing. Like someone tells you they got an original idea, run a mile. Like you want to copy stuff that works. And so, like I mentioned, Jason Andrew, Bookskeep, check out what these people are doing and adapt it, right? These tactics aren't revolutionary, but it's about getting out there and doing it. And that's the most important thing is getting stuff happening like today, the next day. It's just got to be really reactive during this time.
Great.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, I'm going to just wrap up the session now, and then we'll do a bit of a Q&A. So if you've got any questions for me or Ellen and Angela, we'll be happy to stay around and answer those. I mentioned we've got some free content for you. So will there be an email going out after the session, Ellen?
Yeah, there will be. Yes, we'll follow up.
Cool.
With
So I guess we can include this link in that, right?
Sure.
So we got a thing called the Tough Times Marketing Toolkit, bit of a mouthful, some free content, and I'll dump the link in the chat as well while I'm talking. But basically what we've done is we realized that, I know that one of the major pain points for accounting firms when it comes to marketing is time. It always comes up. We do a survey of lots of firms every year, and that's the biggest pain point when it comes to marketing. So we wanted to get some content created for you that would really help you get this response out to small business owners, because we're a small business as well. We want to help you help small business owners, and that will do things we've been talking about. It's going to help you attract leads. It's going to help you keep your clients happy. So we created some content. You can sign up for that. We'll send out the link in the email as well. It's totally free. Will always be free. There's articles on stuff like reducing overheads, managing teams in a crisis. There's templates for cash flow, break even. So like some of the things we showed that Jason and Cindy was sharing, we'll give you some spreadsheets like that. It's all country specific. So, it's country specific as long as you live in the US, Canada, Australia, NZ, or the UK. And so there's information on government stimulus packages, which is updated every week. And so it's all curated around the stuff that we know that small business owners want to read about. And this is some of the feedback we've got from it. I mean, honestly, we've had more feedback and interaction from clients than we've ever had during this time. So it's been really cool. So that's Tough Times. You'll get a link for that. I'll just sum things up now. So look, first thing is question I asked at the start, is it a good time to be doing marketing? I say it's definitely a good time. It couldn't be a better time to be getting out there and talking to your clients and prospects, because it's the firms who stand out now who are going to survive and going to prosper. So the strategy is reduce churn, build leads, sell when the time is right, and focus that content on the pain points you're good at solving. Don't try and do everything. Don't, I'd say, I keep using the example of a session about remote working. There's thousands of sessions out there about that. Share those, but from someone who's got, multi-million-dollar marketing budget like Zoom, and do the stuff you're really good at. So I've seen examples there from like Cindy, from Jason, some of those firms I showed you. Focus on the numbers. In terms of how often you should be doing content, I think daily, weekly at minimum. But like if you've got social channels, daily updates, I think is not too much. And keep the content short and simple. There's no, if you want to go and write a huge blog post, that's okay. But I'd suggest maybe it's not the time for long form content right now. A most important thing, I've said this a few times, be authentic, be honest. Your brand is not your logo. It's how you act right now. In terms of tactics, go direct. So I think social, email, online meetings, even the phone, that's going to be more effective than, say, search engine optimization right now, which takes a lot of time and is a very long-term strategy and waiting for people to come to you. And there's a lot of noise out there, right? There's a lot of noise just generally, and so to try and be heard above that, don't try and be everything to everybody. It's about trying to win your small part of the business landscape. So, if you work with e-commerce or Amazon sellers, that's much easier to talk to those people than the whole small business community. So, we just do marketing for accountants and bookkeepers, but that's keeping us pretty busy and working pretty well. And if you need help with any of your marketing strategy or that side of things, check out that Tough Times Toolkit. That's completely free. Or if you need any help, talk to me or one of my team. Details are going to be on the last slide as we do the Q&A. So I'm just going to hand back over to Angela, who's going to tell you about the awesome A2x Partner Program and some of the benefits that you get through joining that.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I wanted to tell you a bit about the partner program because I know there might be some people on the call that haven't joined up yet. So our partner program's for all accountants and bookkeepers. So it doesn't matter if you're just a one-man band with one e-commerce client or whether you've built your entire business around it and it's your special niche. The A2x Partner Program is for everybody and it has some really great features. So you'll get free training to set up on A2x, free trials for your clients, and priority support. So we have a wonderful support team that can help you with anything you need, and we run 24/7. We have bulk discounts once you've got a few clients up and running on A2x, and we can provide some opportunities for you to market your business. So some of the things we've done with people are helping them with blogs and case studies and other opportunities when we have events to do some co-marketing. So that's what we offer on the partner program side, and I'm going to be sending a link out after this meeting and I'll include those details. So if you haven't signed up yet, I encourage you to do so. Thanks, Matt.
No worries. I can definitely see the benefit. Like I said at the start, my first business from like 99 to 2007 was an e-commerce business, and we sold all around the world. This is before the cloud as well. And my accountant used to hate it, all these different currencies and transactions and blobs of cash dropping in. And yeah, so I can definitely see the benefit of that.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Oh, well, questions. So yeah, Q&A panel, let me know any questions. I think we had a couple come in already. Hey, Angela.
Yeah, Alan, have you got those questions there? I tell you, Matt, what people really want to know in our accountants is where to start Because as you've mentioned, there are just so many channels. You can redo your website, jump on Facebook, LinkedIn. I mean, there's people sending out newsletters, and I think people just want to know, where should they start?
Mm. Great question, and it's one that we get asked a lot. So I think the first thing is, and it's probably the advice they give to business, you guys give to your business clients, is start with a plan. You got to have some sort of plan. So I'm not talking about some kind of crusty old Word document that, you know, you write, takes you a month, and then you never read it again. Just something really simple. So, you know, we were talking about this just before the session. Like, marketing is kind of simple, and I'm not trying to say, you know, it's clearly like it's a tough topic, but if you boil it down, marketing's about three things. Number one is, what are you selling? Number two is, who you're selling it to. And number three is, work out where those people are and then go and sell it to them. And I think we get lost in all the tactics and channels and all of this stuff. You know, we get firms coming to us like, what should we be doing on Facebook? And we're like, well, are your clients on Facebook? And like, I don't know. So it's like, you know, you might not need to do anything on Facebook. You know, if all your clients are on LinkedIn, or, you know, maybe they're not on social media at all. You know, they're like, you know, I've got, you know, a firm who focuses on trade, construction businesses. They do it all through events. So it's about working out, you know, look, what are you focusing on? Who are those? Who's that audience? And then just getting in front of them in the places that they are, and so I think that kind of leads on to my second point, is that having a niche for your marketing, I think, is really important. So I know you guys are kind of bored of hearing that you should niche your firm and all of that stuff. That's what all these kind of advisors are telling you. Well, I mean, whether you do that or not, that's, you know, that's your decision. But I think niching your marketing is really important, because if you're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to nobody. It's really hard to sort of communicate to everybody. But if you suddenly go, okay, I am selling to e-commerce businesses in Australia, you know, suddenly, okay, you've brought real focus there. You can actually talk about specific pain points. You can talk about, you know, the things that really matter to those business owners, and then you can also work out where they are. And when we were talking before the session, hey Ellen, like, you know, there's conferences, there's like social media groups for e-commerce. So you know more about this stuff than me, so you would maybe mention a few of those.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, even the other day I was on the Shopify kind of accounting section on their website, and Shopify sellers were writing in and they were asking questions. And there were some that, you know, asking for e-commerce accountants or an accountant, and so there's so many of them were unanswered. And that just feels like, you know, a simple place. You're going straight to your clients or prospects, and, you know, demonstrating your expertise and hopefully winning clients. But yeah, there's lots of conferences where sellers hang out. I would recommend looking on online forums, because there's definitely, you know, the e-commerce selling community, and you just need to find ways to tap into that. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think to sum that up and go back to the question of, like, you know, where to start, is to go, you know, really try and tightly define who you're selling to, and that often helps if that's an industry. It could be, rather than a vertical like that, it could be a horizontal. So one that I've seen is businesses that focus on anyone, like inventory businesses. So you could say any business that's got inventory, and you could work on that. You know, so it could be a retailer, it could be an e-commerce business, something like that. But typically I think having that focus on an industry is more popular. But by having that focus, because like I say, if you're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to nobody. So once you've tightly defined it in, then you can start to say, okay, well, this is what we're going to talk about, the pain points and things like that. And this is where we're going to go and talk about it. Because, yeah, you know, if you're working with like trades businesses or construction or whatever, they're probably not LinkedIn. So do you have to focus on LinkedIn? Not really. Go to where your prospects are and talk to them there.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, we could talk about that side of things all day, but where to start, that's what I would think about, that getting that focus, and that will make a lot of the other decisions much easier.
And what sort of things would you recommend people have on their websites?
The Biggest mistake I see with accounting firms is that they look at their website as just an online brochure and not a way to create leads. So the first most important thing of any accounting website is it should like seal the deal with referrals. For most firms, probably 85% of their leads will come from referrals, and that's great. It's kind of unpredictable. It's not the same marketing, right? It's something that happens, not necessarily something you control. But referrals are really important. What's the first thing someone does when they get referred? They're going to do a bit of due diligence, check out your website. So it's important that your website is, just looks the part and all of that. So that's number one. But that is just an online brochure. To take it above that and actually trying to convert some of your visitors into leads, I think you've got to do some extra things. So the thing that I would really recommend that firms do is have what I would call a lead magnet on their website. So a lead magnet is something that basically you give away something valuable to grab someone's email address. So you've probably seen this with like an ebook, maybe like the example Ellen showed earlier of the thing that Cindy had created. It could be a spreadsheet, it could be, whatever's relevant to your audience. So you give away something valuable, you get their email address, and then you can keep talking to them, because the conversion rate of, so you guys work with e-commerce, right? Last time I read, the conversion rate of Amazon.com, it was 12 to 15%, right? So like biggest e-commerce business in the world. I read that Jeff Bezos making 10 grand a second during this, so they're doing pretty well. But even then, so say it's 12% conversion, that means 88% of people don't buy. Now, that's Amazon.com, and accounting websites on Amazon.com. Even the best ones have a tiny conversion rate, maybe 1%. So, what can you do to, and when I say conversion there, it's like people who are going to visit and give you a call and engage with you. But there's a much bigger percentage of people who they're interested, they're doing research, evaluating. So if you can give away something valuable, get their email address, then you can keep talking to them, nurture them, and warm them up as a lead. That's how you can really start to turn your website into a lead generator rather than just an online brochure.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
And actually, sorry, just to add to that, if you're working with e-commerce clients, go and talk to them. Like those guys have got the best tips in terms of making your website convert, because that's, that I used to have an e-commerce business. I used to spend hours like tweaking buttons and positions of things like that. I mean, it's not the same as an accounting website, but they can go and borrow some, like I said, steal ideas off people, go and see what they've got to say, because they could really help you with that.
Great.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Matt.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for that, Matt. That was so informative and it was really helpful. And thank you to everyone that came along today. We'll be sending out a follow-up email with the recording and with some more details, and especially that Tough Times toolkit that you mentioned, Matt.
Cool.
So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It was great to have you. I mean, what really stands out, Matt, is your advice is so practical and ready to go, really, ready to implement. So I hope everyone's found it valuable. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Thanks everyone for coming.
Cool. Have a great day.